Hey everyone, what's going on? Jeff here from Films at Home, and today I've got one of my favorite types of videos to do once again. I have had a really good run of videos lately, but I'm really excited about this one because this covers a few things that I'm really passionate about. One is boutique, independent, Blu-ray 4K labels like Arrow and Blue Underground, both of who will be covered in this video. And it also covers my love of horror, and especially like cult horror, really offbeat horror, and especially, again, some of the stuff that Blue Underground and Arrow Video puts out. I love supporting these guys. I love reviewing their releases because they're usually super high quality. And so today we're going to check out 3 different movies all in this one video. The first one will be Two Evil Eyes on 4K from Blue Underground. Then we'll do The Bird with the Crystal Plumage from Arrow Video, and the Cat o' Nine Tails release from Arrow Video on 4K. So surprisingly enough, or maybe not surprisingly, because this guy dominated horror in the 70s and 80s, but they're all Argento movies, and Two Evil Eyes includes George Romero and his part, so that's a two-parter. I'll talk about that. But this is definitely the Dario Argento video series here, I guess, because all 3 of these have his trademark on them. They're all his movies, and I shouldn't say I'm surprised because he shoots beautiful movies. They're great looking movies when they're restored, and so I think that's probably a huge reason why a lot of his stuff has been coming to 4K. And so if you're a fan of that, this will be your type of video. And if you're not a fan, or maybe you don't know about them, stay tuned because you may find some of these to be really cool releases. So I will do sort of an abbreviated, quicker review on the video and audio for each of these, but I'll give you my recommendations, and I do want to break down sort of special features and the packaging because these are all, higher priced items, and there's more to it than just the audio and visual. That's super important. But the reason you're paying a higher price is because, yeah, they're boutique Blu-ray labels, but also because they put a ton of effort into the restorations and into the special features. So I'm going to cover all of that in depth. So I'm going to start here with Two Evil Eyes. Now this is actually a 2-part disc. So it was sort of an anthology idea, and George Romero, who did obviously Dawn of the Dead, and Dario Argento, who's done obviously a ton of stuff, including Cat o' Nine Tails, Bird with Crystal Plumage, Suspiria, I mean, so much in horror. They came together and created, 2 separate tales that they put together into this one movie called Two Evil Eyes. So the Argento one is called Black Cat, and then the facts in the case of Mr. Valdemar is George Romero's. So there are 2 distinct movies here. One of them stars Harvey Keitel, who obviously you guys know. The other one has John Amos. It has Tom Atkins from Night of the Creeps. It has Martin Balsam from Psycho, E.G. Marshall from Creepshow. So, quite the pedigree for actors, directors overall. And it's a lot of fun to watch. Trust me, you're going to enjoy this if you like this sort of cult horror, if you like Romero, if you like Argento. I'd never heard of this one actually before Blue Underground put it out, but I was pleasantly surprised with it. Now the 4K here, this was a brand new scan, 4K 16-bit from the original camera negative, which is always amazing when they can get that. Now has Dolby Vision HDR. So honestly, Blue Underground continues to hit home runs with their release. This looks so good. This is right up there with all their other releases. This actually may be my favorite of theirs. I mean, it is an incredibly good looking disc. Their restoration team continues to absolutely hit it out of the park. And if you don't get that reference because you're not a baseball fan, it's very, very good. So I would definitely recommend it for the visuals. The Dolby Vision HDR adds a nice new color grading, which isn't oversaturated, but is very, professionally done. It looks correct. It looks better than any release I've seen of this before, or any streaming release. It looks really, really nice. And that 4K detail and quality, you just can't beat it when you've got original camera negatives and a proficient team that really knows how to restore this type of stuff. Blue Underground, I'm telling you, they are right now the leaders in 4K restoration. They put out the best discs, and if they could get their hands on maybe something that was bigger or more mainstream, I'm sure some people would be screaming from the rooftops about how great they are. But they like to stay in their niche, and I support that, and they certainly have a lot of big name titles coming up. but they're still in that cult horror sort of niche, and that's probably why people don't know more about them, but they should, because this is awesome. Now, the Atmos track, is it, you know, super high level, crazy Saving Private Ryan type audio? No, and it shouldn't be, but it's nice to see the new remixed Atmos track is here. But you also have other options, so you can go with the Atmos. You can go with a more purist view, which is the 2.0 DTS HD. That's going to be sort of your original stereo sound. So if you really just want to experience the original audio, that track was also very good. And then there is just a French track for subtitled and dubbed tracks. But I switch back and forth between Atmos and 2.0. I honestly think I like the 2.0 more. So it's always nice to get Atmos, but sometimes it's overkill, and sometimes you really just don't you know, notice the difference. And so I went back to the 2.0 and had a really good experience with that. So you know, gonna be up to you, but at least you have both options. That's really great. Now the packaging here, just a standard slipcover, nothing too crazy, but some new artwork, which is really cool. Sometimes they do like lenticular slips and things like that, but not on this release. And then on the inside, you've got your 4K disc and you've got your Blu-ray disc. So you know, nothing too crazy on the packaging side of things. What you get is a 2-disc set. And let me read off some of the special features. So just on disc 1, that's the 4K disc. You do have a commentary with Troy Haworth. You have the theatrical trailer, and you got posters and still galleries. So not a ton on the 4K disc, because honestly, they probably spent most of the storage on the great restoration. But on disc 2, you've got interviews with both the directors, Argento and Romero, the special effects supervisor, who's Tom Savini, who's very famous in the horror world if you know him. Claudio Argento and Asia Argento, who are the executive producers, are also on that. There's a behind-the-scenes look at the special effect makeups with Tom Savini. There's a personal tour of Tom Savini's home. There's a couple different interviews with stars of the movie, interviews with the assistant director, makeup assistants, costume designers. I mean, everybody who was involved with this thing. There's interviews on here. There's in-depth looks at the special effects, which will be super cool if you love practical horror and Tom Savini in particular. And so if you're a horror fan, you're going to really enjoy this release. It gives you comprehensive features, amazing, stunning 4K video, and several really good audio options. So that was Two Evil Eyes. That's from Blue Underground. Link in the description if you want to pick that up, but I highly recommend it. And now let's jump into some Arrow video and some more Argento with The Bird with the Crystal Plumage. This has been out for a little bit, just got around to watching it and reviewing it now, but in typical Arrow video fashion, they've put together a pretty nice high quality slipcase that includes the Blu-ray and a few other items, which I'll go through during the packaging stage. But this is another really good 4K release, although I'd say it's just a tiny step below Two Evil Eyes. Arrow continues to do a great job. I would say they're not quite at the level of Blue Underground. Blue Underground is the leader in the clubhouse. Arrow, if Blue Underground's a 5 out of 5, Arrow's a 4.5. I mean, they're right there, and their restorations are still incredible. And this one in particular, this was Argento's first movie, so you have to assume the source materials may not have been as pristine as something later on that he did with Romero, and, you know, got a little bit more attention, was preserved a little bit better. So with what they had here, I thought they did a really great job. It's scanned in 4K. It's a brand new 4K scan. Also has Dolby Vision HDR, which certainly improves on the color grading on the previous releases. This was available on Blu-ray for a very long time from Arrow, and that was a solid Blu-ray. But this is a very worthy upgrade. It's going to be a little pricey, but you know, if you're in this market and you're looking for this type of movie, you're probably used to spending a little bit more than your mainstream movies typically cost. And Arrow did a great job with this on the visuals, so you will see a nice clear upgrade, especially with this new 4K scan and the Dolby Vision HDR that should convince you outside of all the other stuff that this release has packed into it. Now on audio, this comes with just a mono 1.0 audio track. So that's the original audio, that's what you get. It's remastered, which is great. It sounds awesome. It sounds as good as a movie from 1970 that was a first-time director's effort, you know, should probably sound. And I had no issues with it. It's pretty clear. You make out most of the dialogue, no problem. But I would say, as I always do with mono tracks, some receivers will let you kind of spread that over both your stereo towers. If you have stereo, it'll use them both. That could be be one way to do it, but if you have a 5.1, just make sure you have a really strong center channel. That's always important for any movie when you want clear dialogue, but especially in a mono track, you're going to want a little bit more than just a little center speaker. You're going to want something that can handle a little bit more oomph, has some bass behind it, and can handle, you know, audio tracks and effects as well as dialogue a little bit more clearly. So I have no issues. My SVS sound speakers have always been great, and that center prime speaker I have has been excellent. But if you're using something like maybe a cheaper soundbar, or you're trying to use your TV's audio for this, you may have a hard time making some elements out. It's just not going to be the best experience, but you could probably say that for any 4K disc. Now, packaging, like I showed you, this is really cool. It's a high quality slipcase. You can probably hear how that sounded. It's not cheap, flimsy cardboard. They always make it out of high quality materials. I'm loving the artwork. Your standard 4K release here has all the special features in the back, which I'll go through. On the inside, you get some, actually some advertisement from Arrow. Forgot to pull that out, but you've got some art cards from the release, and then just the 4K disc in there as well. As well as the art cards, you also get this booklet. Arrow is very well known for their booklets. This is a 58 pager, and it is full of essays and photos from the movie and from the production. I'm trying to see who wrote this. Howard Hughes wrote some of this, Jack Seabrook. There's a whole about the restoration section. So if you like diving into that stuff, you're gonna really enjoy this release. And then, as always with Arrow, there is a poster. I'll fold this out so you guys can check it out really quickly, but it has both the original artwork, hopefully you can see most of that, as well as the new Arrow artwork. So they fold that up pretty nicely, again, made of high quality paper. So I tend to keep them all folded and in the case, and I've never had any issues when I take them out with being able to display them. They don't really show as many crease lines, or, you know, they're not as cheap a paper stock as maybe some of the Shout Factory posters that come with their releases, which can often be on pretty flimsy cardstock. And now, just going through really quickly, special features. So you've got audio commentary again by Troy Haworth, an interview with Kat Ellinger, film critic. You've got a visual essay on the cinema of Argento. You've got, let's see, you've got blah, blah, interviews with Eva Renzi. You've got original Italian and original theatrical international trailers. You've got the 2017 Texas Frightmare trailer, image galleries. You've got Crystal Nightmare, an interview with Argento on here, an Argento icon, an interview with actor Gildo DeMarco, tons and tons of interviews, commentaries, behind the scenes stuff, as Arrow tends to do. So again, you know, this is going to be a pricey set, but when you think about buying these, remember, you're not just buying a disc. A major studio release will charge you $25, and they usually give you next to nothing for special features and packaging. With this one, you get a 60-page booklet, you get a new 4K scan, you get premium packaging with a slipcase, you get a poster, you get hours of special features. That's where that extra cost comes in. But overall, I would say this is a nice upgrade if you never owned the Blu-ray. This is a really nice limited edition collector's set. And if you like Arrow Video, you like Argento, and you want to upgrade to 4K, you'll be very pleased with this release. Now on to the last but not least, another Argento movie. As I mentioned, also from Arrow Video, this was his follow-up to The Bird with the Crystal Plumage. This is The Cat O' Nine Tails on 4K. Again, premium slipcover for the collector's edition. We'll go through all that at the end. But this is another new 4K scan from the original camera negatives, which is always amazing that they can do that. And it is a little bit higher quality than The Bird with Crystal Plumage. It has probably a better source. It had a much higher budget. It was shot a little bit better, although Argento, I can't complain about the way he shoots his movies. They're always incredible. But this had a higher budget. This probably had some better equipment. And so overall, this turns out looking just a tiny bit better and more in line with Two Evil Eyes. It's a really, really good 4K release, and it also has very solid Dolby Vision HDR color grading. So again, Arrow Video doesn't tend to go overkill with their color grading, but the Dolby Vision HDR definitely adds that extra little oomph that you don't get on Blu-ray. Now, just like Bird with the Crystal Plumage, this includes the mono track, which has an English dub or the Italian, uncompressed, everything you'd want. I would watch it with the Italian and English subtitles, honestly, because that's the purest form. But again, mono track, you're going to want to have that strong center channel to get the most out of this. Otherwise, you may experience subpar audio. But again, I wouldn't blame the release. I would blame your system or your setup. If it's not optimized for a mono track, then you may not get the best experience, but that's not on the disc. Just something to note though, although it is very excellent. Again, dialogue is very clear, even clearer than On the Bird with the Crystal Plumage, it's a much better audio track than that. Again, better source elements, probably better equipment in use here, higher budget, and that all goes to add to a better audio experience. So if Bird with the Crystal Plumage was a 4.5 release, Cat o' Nine Tails is a 4.5, 5 when it comes to audio and visual. Now the packaging here, again, very premium slipcover with the nice cardboard stock. Opening this up into the 4K, you've got the Cat o' Nine Tails here. Again, they did some sort of art cards, so let me pull out just a couple, but a few different art cards there, all with the Cat o' Nine Tails artwork on the back, so that's nice. And then just the 4K disc on the inside. Now again, this is Arrow Video, so there is a booklet. Let's see, I can't remember how many pages. This is 58 pages as well. It also includes a couple of essays, one by Dario Argento, one by Barry Forshaw, Troy Hallworth, Howard Hughes again, and then about the restoration on page 58. So lots of good stuff in here if you want to read more about the movie, the restoration, and the history behind it. And then I'll show you the poster as well, because I really love their posters. They're such high quality. Here's the original, and then you've got the new Arrow Video if you want to go with that one. So again, double-sided poster, really high quality cardstock. Really nothing to complain about with this release from a packaging standpoint. It has everything you'd expect from Arrow in a limited edition. Now jumping into the special features here, we've got audio commentary by critics Alan Jones and Kim Newman. We've got another interview with director Dario Argento. We've got the writer O Many Tales, an interview with the co-writer, Child Star, an interview with actress Cynthia DeCarolis, an interview with the production manager, script pages for the Lost original ending translated into English. It's got original trailers from Italy, international, and the US, and then the booklet, the double-sided poster, and all those lobby art cards in there as well. So remember that when you're paying for these. It's not $45 for a 4K disc or $40 or whatever it ends up being. It's $40 for an entire package. I would recommend Cat o' Nine Tails. This is another great release from Arrow Video. I would love to see them maybe do an Argento set at some point on 4K. Maybe they will. That could maybe save some money, although it would probably be like 150 bucks. But you could get this, the Bird Crystal Plumage, you could get Deep Red. You get a few of the, I'm blanking on the other ones that they put together for Argento or have in the works. But a box set would be nice at some point to help save some money, but you may lose some of the special features or the packaging elements here. So if you're a huge fan of his and you really like this movie, this limited edition release from Arrow will be the way to go. So that was a bit of a long video, but I wanted to make sure each of these had their time to shine, because they are 3 more great releases from Blue Underground and Arrow Video, both of who continue to impress me with their foray into 4K and the work they're doing on restorations, especially for cult horror and really cool stuff like this. So I know these videos aren't for everybody, and these movies certainly aren't for the mainstream collector per se, but I know a lot of you enjoy them, and I do too. So I appreciate you watching. I'll leave links to all of these down in the description where you can support Arrow and Blue Underground and also support my channel. Their main outlets are usually through Amazon, so if you buy through Amazon, that works and that helps their sales rank go up, so no shame there. Also, make sure you're subscribed and stay up to date by getting notifications on all my latest videos. Follow me on social media, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. All the links down in the description, as well as other ways you can help support me and the channel here at Films at Home. So I really appreciate you all watching. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Stay safe, stay healthy out there, and I'll talk to you soon.